everyone, my name is Lynn and I'm a second year student at the University of Guelph. In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the differences between arriving on campus in my first year versus my second year. So I will be leaving for home pretty soon for summer break, and so I wanted to get this video out of the way so that hopefully it can help some students know what to expect before they get here in the fall. Another important note about me is that I am an international student, so I will be speaking from the international student perspective, but I do have a little bit of insight into how everyone else from Canada arrives on campus as well, as I am a cluster leader on residence life staff here at the university this year. So let's just jump right into the video. In my first year, which was 2019, I arrived in the fall, I think it was August 28th, and I was signed up for a program called Start International. And I cannot recommend Start International enough for international students coming to the University of Guelph. It's really where I made a ton of my friends. It's where I got grounded first in Canada overall. And it was really, really helpful for me to find a community right on the first day that I arrived here. Start International is usually like a 3-day program where it's just a ton of icebreakers with a bunch of international students. You can usually find someone else from your own country, and if you don't speak English as your first language, there's a lot of opportunity to meet people that you can talk to in your native language if that's more comfortable for you. And it was also really helpful in navigating the campus and learning a couple of things about Canada that I might not have known even though I'm just from the US. So since Start International is a 3-day program, I arrived about 3 days before any of the other regular students from Canada were arriving for orientation week. And I thought that was very helpful because campus was really quiet on the day that I arrived. We drove from Ohio, where I live, and so we just unpacked our car into my residence building. I lived in South, and there was no waiting for the dollies or anything to carry my stuff upstairs. It was just, I went right upstairs. There wasn't a lot of people around. I met my cluster leader. I met my RA within like the first 2 hours that I was there. And then we had plenty of time with my parents to say goodbye, get my room a little settled. It wasn't just like shoving us in and then my parents had to leave. It was very helpful for me because I am just from the US. My parents were able to come with me, and we're a very tight-knit family, so there were some teary goodbyes. But yeah, on my first day it was very calming. I just came into my residence room, we set up my bed, my mom made my bed for me, and then they left and I got to like take a nap for the rest of the day. And then the next day I started first Start International thing. And the whole process of getting my keys, so you're assigned a residence room if you make your residence deposit, and then you go to the front desk of whatever residence building that is. So for example, the south desk is in Prairie Hall, the east desk is in Dundas, and the north desk I think is in LA. So you go to that desk, you tell them I'm here to check in, you have a little form to fill out, they hand you your keys in a cute little cardstock envelope, and then you go and find your room, which on the first day is a little tough because you don't know the layout of all the residence buildings, but it's pretty quick and easy to get accustomed to the stairways and hallways that you have to get through to get back to your place. So that was my experience moving in as an international student. I know that if you're an international student who has to fly in, there is a shuttle from the airport, and the university is pretty good about making sure that they know where all the students are that they're supposed to be collecting. And then if you're not an international student, you don't move in a couple days early, you move in on the regular move-in day. Just said move in a lot of times, but you bring all your stuff in on the regular move-in day, which is about 5 days before classes start. Our orientation week is about 9 days long, and so you've got 5 days of orientation before classes start, which is a great big party, or at least it was in 2019. There's lots of concerts, there's lots of outdoor activities to do. You can get free food pretty much every day by just going to Johnston Green, and there's always someone set up out there serving out different ethnic foods or popcorn or cotton candy, lots of things like that. It's basically a carnival for a couple days, and it was really nice. It felt like the college experience in our first week here. And then classes start, you're still in orientation week, so there's still a couple of events that you can go to. And then orientation week is done, and you're into your regular routine of going to class and managing your time and stuff like that. For students that aren't international students, if you're moving in on like the big move-in day, I think that it's probably a bit more chaotic because there's like 5,000 people moving in all in one day. For international students, it's like 200, all for like 11 different residence halls. But for regular students, it's like 5,000 people one day. You have a time slot, you have to get there. Yeah, so as an international student, I would say that my experience was calming, and watching everyone else move in 3 days later was pretty hilarious because I didn't have to do it. But yeah, that was the experience for 2019, and now I'm going to talk a bit about the international move-in experience in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. Once again, I did drive to the university. I arrived on August 20th, 2020. That was the day that I moved in. And I arrived so early because I was a cluster leader, but I did have to go through quarantine. So I got out a day before classes commenced for everyone else in the school, and so I think that I arrived at a really good time for anyone, which was about 2.5 weeks before classes were set to start. So like I said, I did have to go through a 14-day quarantine, and as soon as I crossed the border, I drove by car. I was supposed to drive directly to the university without stopping, so I had to make sure I had enough gas before I went to cross the border so that I could get to Guelph, which is about a 3-hour drive. And, well, from the border to Guelph was about 3 hours of driving. So I also had to have a specific letter from the university that said I'm supposed to be on campus, which was very stressful because I didn't have it until the day I was traveling. It was a lot of emails back and forth, like, am I going to get it? And I also set up a quarantine booking before arriving in Canada. A lot of this has changed now because the rules and regulations have changed, but this was what I did in August 2020. And so, yeah, I had quarantine set up before. They gave me a letter that said I had quarantine set up. I also got a letter from the university that was like a reason for me to be on campus, which was my job. I didn't have any in-person classes, but my job is required to live on campus, so I had that. And as soon as I arrived at the University of Guelph, I drove straight from the border to Guelph without stopping. I was supposed to call them when I was about an hour out. So I called them and I said, I'm going to be there in an hour. They asked me what room I was going to be in, and I told them, so they had my keys already. I parked right outside of the building that has the desk in it, and I went in, said, with my mask on, said, I'm an international student arriving for quarantine. They gave me my keys, very similar to check-in in 2019, but they gave me my keys to my quarantine house. They walked me over there. I had maybe half an hour to move everything in that from my car into the quarantine house that I wanted with me. And then I stayed in my house for 2 weeks. Which was kind of sad, but I did have RLS training during that, so I wasn't just doing nothing. I had training to go through and stuff like that, so I was filling my days. So the University of Guelph has a quarantine meal plan, so you can order your food directly to the house that you're staying in, and well, if you're on campus. And so I was doing that, and I got food deliveries once a day. They would ring my doorbell, and I did have a COVID test that I had to, like a nose swab COVID test that I had to do, and it was fine. It felt like getting water up your nose. So that was my like one day out of my house. I was texting my mom about it, and it was very funny. She's like, enjoy it, enjoy your walk, take the long way. But I didn't, I took the short way, and it was only about 20 minutes of being outside that day. And then after I was done with my quarantine, so there's someone that checks on you every day to make sure you're alive, make sure you're doing well. They do that by a video call. And after that, in our last video call, I was like, oh, what do I do? I've been here. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing after I'm done. And it was really simple. All I had to do was go to the desk as soon as I had all my stuff collected out of my quarantine house and turn in my keys. And then they would give me my new keys into the actual house that I stay in now. So basically, I packed up everything, put it all back in my car, and then took my keys to the East Desk and exchanged them for my new ones. And then I moved into my new house, which was a very interesting experience, trying to lug a mini fridge upstairs. Um, but it was still okay. And I think that it was very helpful to quarantine in a different house than I'm living in now, because it doesn't feel so closed in as it might have if I was literally trapped in my house for 2 weeks and then, I don't know, that weird feeling of like, can I leave now? What's going on? So to sum everything up from 2020 August move-in, I moved in 2 weeks earlier than the orientation week started and immediately went into a quarantine plan. After my quarantine was done, I packed everything up out of my quarantine house and went to the desk and exchanged my quarantine keys for my permanent residence keys, and then moved into my permanent residence house. And I was moving a couple days before the rest of the students came to campus because I am a staff member. And it was also very calming. There was almost no one on campus. It was pretty chill. And the most people I saw during my whole first 2 weeks was the people next door. They would leave extra food out on their back porch for the squirrels to come and eat, which was a very interesting display to watch every day. Watching the squirrels come and try and pick apart an orange is very interesting. Speaking from more of the staff side, the rest of the students, the people that aren't coming from international places, in August they just moved right in. There was no quarantine for them, anyone in Canada, and it was a pretty big move-in day. There were specific time slots that people had to move in. They would go to the front desk, they would get their keys, and then drive over to their houses because we're in East Village. If you lived in North, it would be a lot less of this driving, but in East Village anyways, it was get your keys, drive to your house, move all your stuff in, and then go park somewhere else. Don't park in the middle of East Village. There's not that many parking spaces here. I don't think that parents were supposed to leave right away, but you were supposed to only have one guest helping you move in, which was much different than 2019. In 2019, there was no guest limit. Like, I had my mom, my sister, and my dad helping me move in 2019, and in 2020, I was doing it all by myself. I think that Guelph's move-in process is pretty streamlined. They've been doing it for a really long time, and there's often a lot of volunteers to help you move your stuff, even if you don't have someone strong that can help you move your big luggage upstairs, or my mini fridge. Hopefully next year we will be looking at a more normal residence situation, but there will probably be a one guest policy again, and you will probably have to wear masks again. I don't expect COVID to be completely gone by August, but hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you are an applicant and you're excited about moving into your residence, make sure that you submit your residence deposit and make your choices so that you get what you want. And also be on the lookout for emails that have instructions in them, because the emails are very helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I do respond to lots of my comments, and hopefully I can inspire you and help you make your choice about university and get excited about coming to Guelph if that's what you choose. Alright, well, I'll see you in the next video, and subscribe if you want to. I do try and post videos weekly, and coming up I will have a move out vlog. I'm moving out in April to go back home to the United States. Bye everyone.